That's such a great thing. We're recording. Ah!
Sailor Moon. Yeah, there you go. All right. I keep pausing for a second. I kind of now, just that we were talking about America's Next Top Model, want to find that.
Yes. Do we want to do the ethnicity switch?
Let's do the graveyard one.
Oh gosh. Okay.
We'll work our way up to ethnicity switch.
The ethnicity switch is the first part of the season, and then there's model faints. Girl gets bacterial infection on her face because they like bleach blonded her hair, and like an 8-hour process they made it like 3 or 4. And so she got bacteria on her face, and she got like scabs and stuff.
Uh-oh.
And then they did the ethnicity swap, and then they did the friend passing away.
Oh god.
It was just like, why would they do that?
Which season is that even?
Season 4.
Season 4. Let's see.
And I know, but season 6 is I think like the most is everyone's favorite. But season 4 has and then there's the model gets yelled at. That happens after the ethnicity switch.
There's a whole arc of problematic.
Oh, so problematic.
Oh, it's good. It's on Hulu. We get to watch it legally.
Yay!
Yay! Let's see if season 4 is there.
A few moments later.
They don't have season 4.
They don't have season 4.
They don't have season 4.
They don't want that drama. They just don't have season 4. They're like, we just need to pretend like this didn't happen.
Oh gosh. And Tyra did an interview where she's like, I wanted to celebrate but then it's just like, well, you're also doing cultural appropriation on top of, and then in cycle 23 they did like we're doing a DNA test, and so that was fine, but then they had the one model wearing the Native American headdress, and that was not fun.
Somebody just uploaded it all on Daily Motion.
Gosh.
Well, you know what? We were gonna watch it legally, and then they tried to hide it, and so we might have to watch it on Daily Motion.
That's legal, right?
Sure.
Oh yeah, the first episode they eliminated one of the contestants who was like 24, and they called her old, and she was like one of the only working models at that time, and she had success afterwards. But just some of the things that they say, Janice Dickinson goes in on some of the girls, especially if they're like not a toothpick. But Australia's Next Top Model, those girls are toothpicks, and they're like, you really have fat thighs there, don't ya? You need to lose some weight.
Oh my god.
And then I don't know what I'm doing. I do nervous laughter. I'm not laughing at these people. And then there was, in cycle 1 of Australia's Next Top Model, there was a girl with depression. And there was the point where she's like, I have depression. But before that, she was just like crying during like an interview. And she's like, I don't want to be asked certain questions or something. They're like, you're going to be asked these questions when you get off this, blah, blah, blah. She's like, by the way, I have depression and stuff. And they're like, okay. And
oh no.
And it's just like, and then there was one girl who was actually helping her out, but then a few episodes later she's like, I don't really want to help anymore, she's so annoying. And it's just like, but then earlier she's like, oh, I deal with kids, and I have these ways of distracting them. And like earlier on she was very helpful. Okay,
I was like, if even this doesn't have season 4, I'm gonna laugh really hard. It's like,
oh, the girl who gets bad news, episode 8 is the one.
Okay.
They don't have episode 7?
What happened in 7?
They just don't have it. Oh, that was the double elimination one.
Be quiet! That's what is wrong with you. Stop it!
Oh, that was the one where Tyra yelled at the girl. They don't have that episode. Oh, but they also don't have episode 2 either.
Tyra nuked it off the platform. Wait, I think I clicked the wrong one.
Oh, and then there was a girl who she gained like 2 or 3 pounds, and they're like, wow, you've gotten bigger, haven't you?
Oh, no.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
Okay, weird.
Oh, yep.
I'm like, Tyra Banks is yelling at me now.
All the girls failed the test with the teleprompter.
Magenta.
Tiffany seemed to be giving up on herself.
I can't do this.
Yes, you can.
I can't.
Can you guess who is the one that Tyra yelled at?
Let's break these people down emotionally and then be like, why are they about to give up?
Pretty much.
Tiffany's flippant attitude truly upset.
She's mad because she's not crying.
Quiet, but everybody be quiet. Stop it! I have never in my life yelled at a girl like this.
I feel like that's not true.
Yeah.
When you're yelling at somebody on camera that much, you're like, this is not the first time.
Well, she actually pokes fun at it at a later season, and she's like, do you know what acting a fool means? I have never yelled at a girl like this in my life. And like, it's like, oh, it's great that you're able to poke fun and make money about this, but it's like, what about Tiffany? What about how are Tiffany's
Tiffany
feeling?
is traumatized.
just like, oh, Tyra cares. And it's like, no, she doesn't. She cares about the paycheck she's going to be getting from this, most likely. Oh gosh, I can go on about like, this is how this girl is mistreated. This is how this girl is mistreated. They called her fat. They called her old. She got yelled at. They stuck her with the $9,000 medical bill.
What we'll do is one day, you and me will just do a really long project where we're like, we're going to watch all of America's Next Top Model and break down just how problematic everyone is.
Exactly. And a lot of other YouTube channels are doing it, so it's like, gotta jump in there.
Yeah.
I wasn't really expecting, what happened tonight.
She's the one who they call fat because she gained like 2 or 3 pounds.
That's terrible.
And they gave her gluttony for the 7 Deadly Sins photo shoot. They made her an elephant for another photo shoot. She was eating a bagel, and they had separate shots of her eating the same bagel to make it act like she kept eating up more bagels.
All of these girls are so skinny.
Yeah.
She's so skinny.
When my mother yells at this, it's because she loves me.
Rio, we were all rooting for you. How dare you? Learn something from this. When you go to bed at night and you take responsibility for yourself, because nobody takes responsibility for you.
I didn't know that this was the "we were all rooting for you" meme.
It is. Oh, and apparently Tyra was talking about you can go home and sleep on the floor with your baby, but that they cut out.
Oh no.
Tiffany could have won. She could have been the top model, but...
Oh, and the girl with the bleach blonde hair is the one with the, I think it was called impetigo, and the girls are like, flushing bacteria.
Learn something from this.
Like the Naomi Tyra feud, and Tyra like brought Naomi on her show and was trying to like, you are so mean to me.
I understand that there's times when you may feel like you want to go home and you want to give up, and I've been through that, calling my mom when I lived in Paris like, I can't do this anymore.
And Naomi was like, and?
I also like the subtle flex of like, I know what it's like because when I was modeling in Paris, it was hard for me too. It's like, I'm sure it was for different reasons, but come on. You just had to slip in Paris.
Apparently Tyra like at one point broke down, and her mom actually came to live with her in Paris to help her out, emotionally. And then there would be times where production would keep them from being able to contact their families. And in cycle 10, there was one of the contestants that's like, we want to talk to our families or we're not going to do anything. And she got eliminated soon after.
It's one of those things where it's like, I'm very sorry that Tyra Banks went through that. Also, why are you perpetuating the cycle?
In season 1, there was a contestant who was able to bring her girlfriend onto the show, and it's like, oh, we haven't seen that. On cycle 11, they brought in a trans contestant. It's like, I've never seen that before, but it's also like, oh, the trans contestant is facing like transphobia and no one is saying anything about it. And it wasn't until like cycle 22 when there was one contestant that was homophobic that it was actually like that stuff was called out.
I am hard on myself and everything, but I'm trying to stop beating myself up over things that I can't change.
This poor model, the one with impetigo, she's like, I'm confident now, and they're like, you look terrible.
Oh no. Meanwhile, all of these women are just like impossibly pretty.
Exactly. Oh, and in cycle 3, there was a girl named Kelly who was, everyone, like all the contestants that were interviewed post-show by Oliver Twix, everyone was like, oh, I thought Kelly was going to win. She's so pretty. And they ripped her apart to the point where the girl, she would look in the mirror and she would start crying because they broke down her confidence.
It's terrible. That is very green eyeshadow.
It is. It's interesting to be like, wait, this is after a photo shoot, and then they're doing these interviews, and it's like, wait a second. Yeah, every panel, they're like, you look horrible. And they even, there was a point where they showed a beauty shot, and they showed some of her photos, and they look gorgeous, but they chose a terrible photo of her, and they're like, wait a second.
How dare you not take a good picture every single time?
I'm a correspondent and an anchor for Entertainment Tonight, and I am here today to teach you how to act when you are thrown into the media spotlight.
Like what's happening to you right now, because the camera's in your face actively.
Exactly, and you're not getting paid for any of this.
My job is to bring out funny stories and maybe intimate things.
I'm a stupid.
My favorite is when somebody wears the I'm with stupid shirt and it's pointed at there's nothing over there. It's just an irony that I always find fun.
There are some times where it's pointed upwards and it's like, aw.
Oh, now I feel bad.
Interviewing is one thing that I love to do. You know what? I've got this one in the bag. This one's easy.
After watching so many of these, I'm like, did they like splice in certain things? Because it's like you don't see their face, then you see their face, and it's like, oh.
No, once you've been doing any manner of like editing.
Good
Good evening.
Ooh, E.T. You start to hear, like, the splicing, and you can't unhear it, and you're just like...
Oh gosh, you should hear some of the voiceovers because it's like talking, and then you're gonna do this. Okay, so
The horrible ADR.
exactly.
Hey, guys, I'm gonna go to the store.
And then you're gonna do this. Oh gosh, there was an elimination in cycle 11 where the editing, you could tell that it was after a girl's elimination. It's like da-na-na-na-na, and you need to learn to listen.
It's an amazing.
This would be a good time to throw something very personal in. Because amazing and wonderful and amazing doesn't tell us anything about you.
Wouldn't it have been better to give the pointers before they get into the chair as opposed to while they're doing it? And
Sensory overload. Come at it from all sides.
Yeah.
It does, like, this is a terrifying, like, thought to me to, like, be doing, like, professional interviews like this, because everybody I've ever heard talk about having to have, like, media training for this stuff, I'm just like, oh, that sounds terrifying. It's basically somebody just, like, being like, okay, here's all the things that are wrong with how you talk and answer questions.
I can't imagine doing media interviews because I've seen so many like awkward ones, like with a lot of actresses where they're asked about like their clothes or like who they like, and they're like, that's a dumb question.
My favorite is when, like, there's also, like, a male cast member who jumps in and, like, deflects, and it's just like, well, my clothes are... I'm like, we stand a guy who's willing to call out misogyny when he sees it.
Oh gosh, I remember there was an interview with Rihanna where she was just, someone's like, oh, are you gonna like go home with anyone? And she's like, that's a dumb question. That's disgraceful.
Rihanna's
What?
a whole vibe.
Oh gosh, and she loves like, or Rihanna loves Real Housewives and would like message some of the contestants, and she loves Drag Race too. And I'm like, I want to be to the point where I'm famous and I could just message like random
famous person.
Exactly, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, this person like texted me.
Only Murders in the Building. You know, Selena Gomez is always getting like the misogynistic questions about like, well, why don't you have a boyfriend? And so like Martin Short and Steve Martin are always just like her surrogate grandparents who are just like, I think at one point Martin Short jumps in and goes, well, we would introduce her to somebody, but everybody we know is dead. It's just like,
oh, no.
It's like, what a great way to deflect that situation.
Oh gosh, that reminds me of the Betty White interview where she's like, oh, if I wanted to talk to my friends, we had to break out the Ouija board.
I love and miss Betty White.
What follows is a brief construction montage.
It just doesn't want to play. If I back it up, does that help?
It's like, be quiet, Tiffany, be quiet. What is wrong with you? Stop it! I've never in my life yelled at a girl like this. When my mother yells like this because she loves me. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you? Learn something from this. When you go to bed at night and you need to take responsibility for someone, there's no one going to take responsibility for you. Take responsibility for yourself. You might be rolling your eyes like you've heard this all before. You don't know where the heck I've been through. You know, where I've been. But I'm not a victim. I grow from it and I learn. Take responsibility for yourself.
We hope you enjoyed this brief construction montage.
It is. I love so much that you know that whole thing.
Yeah, I think I think I dropped the ball a little bit, but yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
It's okay. I don't need to like use the desk or anything, Perry. It's fine.
Kaylin cheated. The most important thing is to be yourself and be honest. We weren't getting a sense of who she was.
Such a calming voice for somebody that's giving so much criticism.
That's why we never saw her back again. They're like, no, we need drama.
She's got like this like I can do ASMR voice.
Actually, I have a few questions for you. Actually,
My version of this is like. My mom points out to me how many times I say like, and I'm like, yeah.
Oh gosh, there were times where I would catch myself saying like at least 3 times a sentence, and I'm like, okay, need to calm that down.
And I was like, and then she was like, and I was all like, no.
Actually, now that you have signed... Wait. Neither one of you is allowed to use the word actually again.
If I had $1 for every time they said actually, I'd have $8.
Actually, I'm wearing Versace right now.
$9.
Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened 9 times.
Well, it's more than a lot of these girls, or it's like a fifth of what these girls made in a day.
Right? Jesus.
I have never been to a club in Indiana, let alone in LA's.
They need to touch up her roots. They don't touch up her roots for the rest of the time she's there.
this show's getting really crazy.
I think in later seasons they don't have the girls go out at all, so they just have that pent up anger. No letting loose to you guys except for on each other because we need the ratings.
People are only watching for toxicity.
Yeah.
She just completely converts into this confident woman.
That guy in the club saw the cameras and is like, I'm gonna dance with these girls.
I wonder if it was like, I've been in the industry too long. I'm cynical. I'm like, are those extras or did they actually go into a club? Like,
I mean, they had to ask everybody there because nobody had blurred faces. Oh,
I checked my messages and found out that one of the girls I was very good friends with when I was a little bit younger had passed away.
And you're already like under so much stress and exhaustion.
There was one time where in season 2 a girl had lupus and they tried to glorify her like pushing through her autoimmune disease to like do well in the competition. It's like, no, if you have someone with an autoimmune disorder, you help them and you try to you don't want them to push through or else that's more stress.
Not exploiting people. We can't do that.
I don't know if I can handle this.
Oh, and they do like no aftercare after America's Next Top
I
Model
was
at
reading
all.
that too. It's oof.
So many of the girls are in therapy, and it's like if America's Next Top Model would have paid for the surgery, or for not the surgery, the therapy, then it probably would have been helpful.
What is therapy if not emotional surgery?
Yeah. No one paid for my emotional surgery.
The eve of your first time in the media spotlight. Be ready at the crack of dawn. What's the crack of dawn? What the hell's the crack of dawn? When the sun comes up?
They're like, okay, we need some sound bites. Act like you have no idea what the crack of dawn is. But we don't. Just say things.
You gotta feel for like the people on reality TV that just basically sat down and been like, you're gonna be the dumb one, and you're gonna be the mean one.
Oh, there's some more insider tea about that because most of the girls aren't told their archetype, but there have been, I think, 2 separate occasions where girls have found a list of their archetypes. And there was one girl in Cycle 3 who's Indian, who her archetype was like her being Indian, and she was just like, and then
I would be so angry.
And then there was another girl in Cycle 9 who found a list, and hers was like her prickly disposition.
I would cry.
And she's like, oh, she was like the smart one of the cycle, so they're like, oh, we're gonna make her look prickly because she's the smart one and snooty. And like she calls out the panel and she's like, I don't have a prickly disposition. And she turns to the girls and she's like, am I mean? Do I have a prickly disposition? They're like, no.
I feel like the producers are like, this one's gonna talk shit about all the shady stuff we do. Now we're gonna make everybody hate them.
Get rid of her. Oh, and it was really funny because the girl who was like, I don't have a prickly disposition, they had security called on her because after she was eliminated, she took off her shoes, and they thought that she was going to throw her shoes at the panel, but she was taking them off just to take off her high heel shoes because if you can't walk in heels, you can't be a model.
Do you remember the reporter that threw his shoe at George Bush and then missed and then threw his other shoe?
Yes.
He's mutuals with my brother on Twitter, and I'm like, that is a bigger claim to fame than anything I will ever have in my life.
Oh my gosh. Hey, my brother knows the guy who threw his shoes at the president. I'm sure a lot of people are like, yes to that guy. But we here are neutral and do not say either way which way we lean in, yay or nay of the shoe throwing.
Gabe is neutral. I'm pro shoe throwing.
The haters in the comments.
They're used to it. They know at this point.
You're going to be interviewing Eve. Is there anything that's going on, like with other celebrities and other rappers and singers, like yourself, that, you think they would want to accomplish as well as this?
Oh, she seems so nervous. I feel so bad.
Yeah, I understand what she's doing where it's like trying to ask your question and make it make sense.
It's kind of unfair because, like, people go through so much training to be able to do this well, and they're like, just give them, like, half a day of, like, basics and then put them on camera and make fun of them when it doesn't go well.
Well, and then you see the interviewers that are like, so what were you wearing underneath your skin-tight leather outfit when you were playing Scarlet, or when you were playing Black Widow?
You're like, what school did that guy go to?
Jeez. I'm sweating. Me too, girls. Hot. Don't worry about it. We all sweat.
I did horrible. I was just stuck.
They should have just been like, take a day, like, call who you need to call. Let's not throw you into this stressful situation where you're interviewing someone for a challenge.
Kaylin, we did get extra points for being the only one who went for the personal question.
Oh, and they gave her the positive feedback to be like, okay, we're supporting her in this, but not really. Now, I want to ask, based on what you've seen so far, who do you think's gonna be in the bottom and or go home?
Oh, boy. Tyra really seemed to have it out for that one girl she was screaming at.
Well, she's already already gone.
Oh, she's gone. Okay.
Yeah, she was eliminated in a double elimination, the first of the
Right.
entire series.
I'm gonna say they send home the girl whose friend died, because that seems exactly the kind of meme that they have been so far.
Nope. I'm just, that's all I'm gonna say. Nope. Wrong.
Christina was fully aware of Eve, her line.
Oh gosh, seeing the different lines in between and the small writing, I'm just like, that reminds me of high school.
I have such big handwriting. Like, I write like a cartoon character. I don't know why. I'm lefty, and I'm just like...
I'm also left-handed too.
Okay,
so
cool.
it's just
I've gotten to the
granite
point where I
stuff.
can kind of hold my pen so that it doesn't really, like, it's just kind of balancing so it doesn't drag that much. But sometimes you just can't help it. Depending, like, if you're writing on a whiteboard, forget about it.
I've just recently got to the point where I'm able to, like, write on the line and not, like, go up and down all over the place. And I'm just like, just write
It's
straight.
just, like, curved. Yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of notes about my handwriting in school, too.
Oh.
My mom tells stories about, like, when I was a baby, she would, like, try to, when she was teaching me, like, how to hold a spoon, she'd put it in my right hand, I'd switch it, and she'd switch it back, and I'd switch it, and she did that enough times, she was like, fine, she's left-handed. We support her anyway.
I remember hearing about the Catholic Church doesn't like left-handed people because it's like the sign of the devil or something, and I'm like, okay, another reason for the Catholic Church not to like me.
I'm sure that's all, like, not a thing anymore, but all the Catholics are like, hey!
I don't need dealing with death right now. I don't need that.
It's just gonna be a really hard day tomorrow, if that's what it is. I know, I just hope that's not what it is.
Oh yeah, the one friend that was trying to help Kaylin through her time of need.
That's where we're going.
Just keep watching.
Oh god, oh god. This reminds me when I was growing up at my old church, there was a small group leader who, the student was like, the girl was afraid, her biggest fear was death. And so she drove them all out to a cemetery and had them do youth group in front of a big tombstone. It's just like, so why are you afraid of dying?
These are the 7 deadly sins, and with 7 of you here today, each and every one of you are going to have to portray one of these deadly sins.
Transition to the 7 Deadly Sins anime.
Today, you girls are going to have to portray one of these deadly sins at the bottom of this 8-foot grave.
Yeah. They literally couldn't have just been like, here's a box, model in the box. It's like, no, you have to be 8 feet down. There's no way they could have known.
Kaylin, you okay, honey? Yeah. What's wrong? You want to talk about it? Nope.
Man, the beauty standards are really getting to us. Now women have to look unalive.
Oh no. And then in the next season, there was a contestant whose friend passed away due to an overdose. And then not that episode, but the next episode they did like a dead photo shoot where they died of different means. And like she didn't do very well because she was like, I'm thinking about my dead friend. And Jay's like, what's wrong with you? And she's like, my friend just passed away.
How dare you have feelings?
Yeah, and he's like, I didn't know that she was feeling this way, so I didn't know how to deal with it in the moment.
I am going to be put down into an 8-feet grave and had to make this look sexy.
I'm so pale. I've been told by makeup artists that if I need to be made up to look like I'm losing blood, I don't really need anything done to me.
Oh, well, hopefully they bring a lot of like action-y movies, so it's like, oh no, you're passed out on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Hey, think of it this way. The next time you're lowered down, you'll probably be dead. Oh, thanks, Shay.
And you were
Thanks
just
for selling
told. I know she's not around, but jeez. Oh, or cut to another example of 7 Deadly Sins, the homunculus in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Gluttony is voiced by the same guy who voices Winnie the Pooh.
Jim Cummings' voice is homunculus?
Well, I think I know he sounds like, I don't think, or I might be misremembering, but he kind of sounds like Winnie the Pooh.
Honestly, Jim Cummings' voice is so many things I wouldn't be surprised. I keep finding out about things that Jim Cummings voiced, and I was like, really?
Him?
Did Jim Cummings voice me, too?
Am I Jim? And I'm just like, oh, Jim Cummings needs to try harder with my voice. And just a little bit deeper, Jim Cummings. Just a little bit deeper.
I like your voice.
Oh, thank you. I forcefully deepen it, and still I sound high-pitched, and I'm sure a lot of people think I'm a woman on the telephone.
Oh, see, I have the opposite problem. I have a very deep voice for women, and I'm just like, I try to do the thing where it's just like, making it higher, and it's just like, I can't.
Oh.
I don't have the energy. This is what we get.
Oh.
Yeah, they put the
makeup on. It's like,
Look, she has lots of confidence. Let's make her pride.
I get it. Like, you don't want to be, like, over proud, but also just, like, pride as a deadly sin has always just been, like, pride as a deadly sin. Feels a little bit strange to me.
It's interesting looking back and seeing the models who are quote-unquote overconfident, and you're like, no, that's just regular confidence.
That's just regular confidence, yeah.
Because nowadays, you know, you have the people, you know, nowadays, this is the PSA, you know, people going to the gym 10 times a week and, you know, have the six-pack and are still like, I'm not at the place I want to be. You need to be at the place that I'm at now, and you need to do better. You have no six-pack, therefore you are fat and ugly. Don't do that. Don't be like those people. Have confidence, but not too much. This has been a PSA from me. And then there's a girl crying. Oh my gosh, this is so sad.
I feel so bad.
Oh, I think they're doing like the drag queen trick where you can arch your eyebrow by taping up the side of your face. And I think Matthew Anderson did RuPaul's makeup for several seasons of Drag Race, and he's very, very talented. Oh, and fun fact, the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 3 is a makeup artist here. This was before they went on Drag Race.
Okay.
Start thinking lusty thoughts.
Oh yeah, I think this is a problematic segment.
Hey, big boy. You want to come on in?
I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like,
$10 a pop. Okay, $10, that's a little cheap, but hey. Oh yeah, it's like a lover caressing you there.
It's just a bunch of guys, like, kind of low-key, like, harassing this woman while she's in a hole in the ground.
Yeah, and she doesn't even have the most provocative outfit. She's in, like, sheer fabric.
I'm all about, it took me aback that she's just topless, sorry. I'm all for the creepy, witchy aesthetic, but even for me, like, literally being lowered into a grave, just like, this feels triggering.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm not claustrophobic, so I could probably do it, but, like, this is one of those things where it's just like, I don't blame anybody for being like, ooh.
Being so tall, I can be in tight spaces really easily, and I'm just like,
Sorry, are you claustrophobic in here yet?
No, I feel comfortable in here, but I remember one time my dad drove me and my family and one of my sisters and my friends to the airport, and I sat behind him, and he's like 5'6", but he had his seat all the way back to the point where I had to sit like this the entire ride to the airport because I couldn't put my head up straight.
Meanwhile, I'm so small, the last time you and I were in a car together, you were like, can I move my thing? I'm like, you could move your thing back like a mile, and I still would have leg space. Like, I have no legs.
But I don't want it to be like, I'm crunching you, and you're like, everything's fine.
No, like, I don't need leg space.
Oh, okay. And I'm sitting here like, I have leg space here, so I'm comfortable.
You have no idea how much higher my seat is to make it look like I'm not impossibly smaller than Gabe.
Beautiful. I'm envious.
I'm not like Naima, who could be in there with a sheer piece of fabric with her arm covering the tatas and being like, confidence. I'm just like...
I had to be Wrath.
Side note, though, this girl is like a rock star for actually... Not that she should have had to do it, but like, I wouldn't have done it. The fact that she got through that without like crying and breaking down...
Exactly.
She should be very proud of herself.
Be it. Like, scream. Come on, let's hear it. Louder.
Oh gosh, and also what happens in cycle 6, there's a girl who has food poisoning and dehydration, and she treks through the jungle on an elephant, and they use her as a, oh, you got sick? Well, you didn't push through like this, girl, you're going home. To the point where the season after, there was a girl who didn't do a photo shoot because she wasn't feeling well, and they're like, you didn't walk on this rickety runway that a girl still has a scar from years later because you were sick, go home. And then later in the season, a girl legitimately got hypothermia because she was taking medication for psoriasis, and she was put in a freezing cold pool, and they got mad at her for not telling them that she was getting hypothermic.
How dare you be hypothermic? These models and their high demands and their dehydration. How dare they?
Yeah, and I think they didn't explain that to one of the other contestants. They were just like, oh, how'd you feel about Cara D leaving the pool early? And she's like, I think she should have pushed through. I think she was being a baby, but she didn't know that she was hypothermic.
Well, like, meanwhile, what's Tyra Banks doing doing her talk show around this time where she was just like, I want to talk about how everybody needs to accept themselves for how they are, and then it's like you cut back to this and it's like, oh,
Like there's a point where there's like a paparazzi photo taken of her where she looks bigger, and then she wears the swimsuit on camera and she's like, kiss my big butt or something like that, and then like this season there's the girl, they're like, oh, you've gained a little bit of weight, haven't you?
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm stressed, this is a new environment. They're like, too bad, tone up.
Also, by the way, your weight fluctuates throughout the day. Like, if you're like, oh, I've gained a few pounds, that could just be your weight fluctuating. Like, that's a thing. Don't worry about it that much.
Oh gosh, in Australia's Next Top Model, there was a point where some girls gained weight and they're like, oh, you gotten fat.
Oh god.
And there was a girl who like lost weight during the competition, and I'm like, are you sure that isn't because of stress? We don't see them working out.
We have a lot of Australians that watch the channel. We should watch Australia's Next Top Model.
Australia's Next Top Model. I can practice my Australian accent.
The judging panel will act as journalists, asking about the new line. But we're really going to be grilling you about the gossip that we heard about you.
What are you sexually?
I'm actually bisexual.
What a question.
Yeah, they're like, we're trying to throw you off.
You eat meat?
I'm actually a vegetarian.
But I could swear I just saw a photo of you rubbing on a burger and it was meat.
Is this true?
This statement is not true.
You know, she needs to just be like, you know what, the purpose of my content is always to entertain. The YouTuber apology of just like, hey guys, let's talk.
Oh gosh. I watched Logan Paul's video recently, and I got some inspiration. I just wanted to say that I am sorry for all that I have heard with the statements that I have made.
My absolute favorite YouTuber apology for how badly funny it is after the incident with Logan Paul. He's like, I have had a severe and prolonged lapse in my judgment.
Oh gosh, Logan. Yeah. I just remember him like tearing up and crying during I heard the video was monetized, and I'm like, I'm not surprised, but just and then seeing videos of him like just being culturally insensitive to Japan. And
it's a shame because there was like 1 minute where he was just kind of like not doing anything problematic and just like doing his Pokemon card thing and just like chilling, and then he's like, no, now I'm gonna go back to scamming people, and also there's this animal cruelty thing, and it's just like, oh, and here we thought you'd turn the corner.
Oh gosh, where he had a teacup pig, and they actually grow bigger, and they got it, and it was like, it's showing signs of abuse and neglect. That's not cool.
Yeah, and they saved it, but like just watching the coverage of it, I was like crying. I was just like, fuck Logan Paul. I was like, Logan Paul has done a lot of shitty things, but animal cruelty is one of those things where you're just like, how could you? I know you've done a lot of shitty things, but this is bad. Oh, the dress with jeans under it. I remember that era.
Oh gosh, some of the 2000s fashion I'm seeing where I'm just like, what in the world is happening?
I really wanted to pull off that dress with jeans look.
Are they even pulling it off, really?
I mean, I think she looks cute. It's more the two. I'm glad tube tops are out of fashion because they never fit me right, and then like they would slide, and you'd be like, oh no.
Pulling everything up. And usually they say wear what you would wear to a casting, which I think is a good prompt, but they don't say it until someone's fashion is really weird.
I love her mohawk, by the way. That just side note, I love her mohawk.
Yeah, sometimes they do really well with the makeovers. Other times afterwards they're like, yeah, they screwed up my hair. There was one girl who had to ask a friend to remove her weave for free because there was no salon around her that could take it out.
Oh no.
And I think she ended up losing chunks of hair.
Gluttony looks like Dumpy.
It's like piggy chic.
Oh.
The next time we hang out, we need to watch that you remember the really problematic show called The Swan?
Oh, that's the one where they win plastic surgery.
Yeah, by losing weight.
Oh, God.
It's really bad. It's awful. And then it got a second season.
Oh, no. I remember there's a YouTuber named Lexeria who covered America's Next Top Model, The Swan, and then there's apparently a reality show called Finding Miriam, where it's like Bachelorette, but the twist is that Miriam is trans, but they don't know that she's trans.
Oh, so it's like that kind of problematic where it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, are they gonna be transphobic at the end?
Yeah, and apparently, like, the person who won was like, oh, yes, I'll date you, but then, pretty much all the contestants sued the show afterwards.
Yikes.
Oh, they chose a bad photo of her on purpose. This is so sad.
It's like way overlit.
You have to start to be proud of who you are.
I love when people yell at you for not being confident enough. And it's just like, I wonder why I'm not confident.
Yeah, and she's, like, been showing she's confident the whole episode, but then they're like, you look terrible in this photo.
This goes hand in hand with being a model. I'm here to snap you into going to the next level.
Their non-constructive constructive criticism.
Their constructive criticism is just do better.
You have to smize, which means you just squint at the camera a little bit more.
The smolder.
Oh, they just called
Kenya.
She just kind of looks like a dead drag queen in the coffin.
Kenya dead drag queen in a coffin.
Oh.
Even though she's not the one who did her makeup.
Kaylin was having a really hard time because she just found out that her friend died. But she brought it in the picture.
She delivers.
Like, wow, good for her for doing that really traumatizing thing we made her do.
Yeah, she pushed through, so everyone else needs to push through too. Push down your emotions and just do it.
Do you know who Tom Cardy is? He's a musical comedian. He did a remake of Ghostbusters where it's like,
if you feel depressed and misunderstood, what you gonna do?
repress it!
Good choice.
Yes, repress all the feelings. Who do you think's going home?
Oh god, they've been mean to all of them for different reasons. I have no idea. They did pick a really bad picture of that one girl.
Yeah, we want to see the film.
Kaylin, I'm so proud of you. You represent facing adversity.
You pushed through your trauma, and we're gonna celebrate that.
And I admire you because sometimes I'm not as strong as that. Thank you.
Gross, I hate this.
And, you know, watching it a few times, I'm just like, I don't see the problem. And then I hear what people say, and I'm like, this is a big problem. It's always good to educate yourself and be willing to learn new things.
Well, and like, our generation grew up with this kind of TV, and so it's just like, oh, I wonder why we're all skewed on, like, how to feel about things and, like, how we should feel about ourselves.
And, you know, what we see on TV is what we get. These people are like what's on this in real life. And I think there are still some contestants like Lisa from Cycle 5 who still get hate from things that happened over a decade ago.
Yikes.
And, you know, Tyra's rolling in the money and they're just like, I just need therapy. Oh, and then in Cycle 9, there was the girl who, after she got her hair cut, for some reason, I guess it just changed the frame of her face, and they're like, you've lost weight, what's going on? And they made her insecure about herself, because they're like, during this music video, you were looking at yourself a lot, and we think that's insecurity, so you're going home.
I only have one photo in my hands. And this photo represents the girl that will still be in the running towards becoming America's next top model.
Who's going home? The one who was overconfident that they chose a bad photo of and said you're not confident, or the girl who hasn't really been connecting with anyone in the house and not really creating drama?
The girl that I do not call must immediately return
to your loft, pack your belongings,
Tyra is so overly dramatic.
Yeah, and I always notice during judging, there's always a step, and she's always on the top step, kind of looking down at the other girls, and they might have to look up at her, so it's like a power move.
This video is just like a Tyra Banks hate post, but honestly, like,
I mean,
we've got a reason.
I mean, Tyra Banks is really smart in the way that she's done all of this, and she's created this empire of reality TV.
She's really
but
successful, but it's also just like, that's at the cost of trauma of other people.
Yeah, like she only stays in touch with some of the girls, and those girls don't really have a lot of bad things to say about her. And Lisa, she won, well, spoiler, she won the All-Star Cycle 17, and she hates the show, and she pretty much dislikes anyone who likes her because Lisa's like, I've been through so much in my life, and they perpetuated my trauma for profit, and
yeah,
they're not doing and they never did anything about it. Tyra's a mean person, and if anyone likes her, then I'm gonna cut them out of my life. And she said one of the other contestants told her she failed her psych eval, but they let her go on the show anyway, and the contestant was like, that didn't happen.
Oh.
And so it's just like, ooh. But it's just like, she's like, you can't tear people down, but then she tears people she doesn't like down.
I just wish that I could have gone further.
I like the sad montage of all the other pictures she's taken.
I always love that when they show the picture before they're eliminated and then the fade out and stuff.
Why are they all topless in the fade out picture?
It's like their post makeover shots, and this one they did it topless because I think there are a few of them who are like, oh, I guess we have to get topless the first episode.
I mean, if the models want to take topless pictures, totally fine. I just hope they all felt comfortable doing it. And also, YouTube is gonna be like, what are you doing, Avery?
But they're covered. Everything's covered. Oh, there have been a few times where they're like, you're not going to be wearing any clothes during this shot. And a lot of girls are like, I'm not comfortable with this. And they're like, you're going home now. You need to show off your body so you could be a voice for these kind of people. And it's like, but they're not comfortable and you're not really giving them any leeway. I think in Cycle 1 was the only time they're like, we'll give you a band to cover the areola and we'll give you like skin matching panties, but they didn't do it.
I've been through that just like with extra work where I've shown up and without any like pre-warning they're like, you're cool in a bikini, right? And I'm like, no. And then they're just like mad because
I remember I was doing a fitting for Spider-Man Homecoming. Oh, there's so much controversy with Spider-Man Homecoming for me. I was booked to work 2 days with them before doing an internship in Arizona, but they canceled me the second day and they had told me to leave my wardrobe with them. So never leave your wardrobe with production. Never leave it. And so 3 months later, they finally mail me my stuff, and it was back and forth. And I just want to say, Tammy Smith, I am very sorry. Thank you for booking me in future projects. I'm sorry. And
it's not Tammy Smith's fault.
It's not Tammy. Tammy Smith is an amazing person. Go follow Tammy Smith Casting on Facebook. They work well with casting all talent. I actually have a video on my channel that I think is live today where I do a commercial where I involve my dog. But I had a point with this. Anyway, never leave your clothes with wardrobe or production. Always take them with you. But they were doing fittings for me, and one of them was a pool scene. I was like, is it okay if I wear a t-shirt? I have a swim shirt. And they're like, sure. And I'm like, cool, acceptance. I'm glad they didn't get mad at me for being like, you want to wear a shirt during a pool scene?
It's like body confidence, but also everybody has to be comfortable. Body confidence is about being comfortable in your own skin. So if you're comfortable being topless, good for you. If you're not, don't be topless.
Exactly.
Also, they might try to make you feel bad, but they do need you. So if you're not comfortable, just say you're not comfortable, and even if they're huffy with you,